Welcome back, everybody, here to your coverage of the Dota 2 Champions League. I'm your host, TobiWan, bringing you game number 2 of Na'Vi going up against Cloud9 here, when Cloud9 is currently one game up over Na'Vi, forcing out a 20-minute GG call with an 8-0 Shadow Fiend by Sing Sing in the middle lane. How will game number 2 go? How will momentum go? And how will the draft go? Well, let's find out together. Over into the game we jump, into the draft we go, and of course I bring in the man who helps bring logic to my broadcast. His name is Clairvoyance. Welcome to game number 2.
Well, hopefully I can bring a little bit more or something different than logic this time. I was just talking with the boys on Cloud9, and it was actually a very interesting conversation going on TeamSpeak as soon as I jumped in. I guess one of the main topics of concern was Sing Sing getting flamed. Ironically, because he's obviously 8-0-1, he's pulled out a fantastic performance, but they were kind of blaming Sing Sing for Funnick escaping at the bottom lane, and this is how pros perceive it. Most of the time, they'll blame themselves, and yeah, you don't credit the opposition for doing something crafty. You always blame yourself, saying that, how did you just let yourself get that happen? That should not have happened. You should have killed him. He's bad. That's the general perception of how Dota works, of course, because it's never your fault and everything's on your team.
So even if you go 8-0, it's like, sorry, Sing Sing, harden up, to play your game correctly. You get into that secret shop, and we're like, after this, we're running drills. Envy is going to try and duke you inside the tree line, and you've got to try and find out where he is. Make your right decision this time.
Toby, he didn't make the cut, man. I mean, even at that last fight, he popped the double damage rune before the BKB. What ended up was he ended up canceling his little boon that he had for himself in the double damage with the bottle, and you know, he could have maybe gotten 7 kills out of it instead of 2 if he had the double damage. But that's just the unfortunate reality of Cloud9 gaming. So we'll see if the unfortunate reality perspires and all of a sudden your mid lane dominates the game and proceeds to win in 20 minutes, or if Na'Vi can cook up something different. Because I gotta say, one of the more interesting criticisms is something that I feel is slightly valid. I felt very little presence from Puppey in the jungle. The normal Crystal Maiden presence inside the game got completely shut down by the 2 brilliantly placed wards by Cloud9, allowing only 1 camp to exist for really plausible usage coming out of Puppey. And he ended up being level 3 at 8 minutes into the game, and they just had absolutely no map control.
That's why I think, like, at the start of that, Na'Vi weren't even thinking about putting Puppey in. Like, he came out with one clarity. If you're going to go jungle, you get at least 2, possibly even
2 clarities.
3 to do that. So
exactly.
So you already said from the start that Na'Vi basically said they wanted to dodge that. They knew they'd use the wards, and they just thought that maybe OD and Crystal Maiden, and then the Nyx and the Loon will be enough. I think Na'Vi got themselves backed into a corner during the draft. Like, they went for the very early Nyx pickup, thinking they could just transition into something nice, and then they found themselves with this extra support hero that they never really wanted in the first place. If it was a Venomancer or something like that, we would be having a very different discussion right now going into game number 2. But, yeah, for me, I think that was where the first like, foundation was taken out from Na'Vi's playing game number 1. But game number 2, we start with exactly the same bands, but the picks are very, very different. We get a Doombringer pickup straight away from Cloud9. There was no, like, hesitation, don't need to have it. And it's really put Na'Vi on the back foot here. Probably taken a very long time to decide the Prophet and Storm Spirit is going to be the reaction for him. And the balls to pick up also a Storm Spirit when you have a Doom on the field, you got to give props for that, but you've also got a question mark.
I've certainly got to give props for it. I mean, Puppey always known to be a ballsy drafter and some of the most chest-out drafters out there. Just as you said, I think last game it resonates a little bit in that statement is that, he ended up with an extra support, and I kind of do feel a little bit different about the Venomancer example per se, because if anybody knows me or what I say, my thoughts on Venomancer Crystal Maiden together is just horrendous. But quite frankly, though, yeah, that's a very bold pick. And once again, Cloud9, I think that has to be a deny pick. I spoke to them about the Lifestealer pick. I said, that's actually the only hero that I felt didn't really fit into your lineup. And they kind of agreed, I guess, because they said that they kind of just picked whatever. But it just ended up working out because, once again, their level 6 power spike, as well as the mid lane going so well in their favor against heroes like Luna, against the heroes like OD. It's just everything seemed to be put into the right place from the early game. And Na'Vi kind of helped them. And just as you said, they kind of let themselves get back into the corner in that regard. This game, hopefully, it's different. Prophet in conjunction with the Storm Spirit, it's always a very, very scary combination to deal with. And guess what? The Apparition gets banned out this time around. So no real surprises there, I have to say. Because if we're talking about the previous metagame, something like a Relic of the Past, Nature's Prophet, Storm Spirit, Apparition, Tidehunter, Night Stalker, these are dream lineup pickups back in 2009 Dota. And quite honestly, it's just amazing to see that the metagame is shifting, allowing so much more flexibility in the scene.
Well, this current meta, and I think the meta for the last 3 to 4 months have been really good job by Valve with their patching. It's just been such a dynamic thing anyway. we can say, hey, I remember this draft from back in 2008, and it's like, yeah, 2007 we go back for the bristleback. It's there's just so many different things which is just being all combined up, and it's allowing players like Puppy's been around from the very start, I was saying before, but he knows all of these old strats, so he knows he can like blend in some different combinations because heroes have been reworked to bring him back. So it's fun.
And he has the experience to back it up, just as you said. He's been around for time, of course. And Cloud9 just shutting down all the picks that can potentially be game ruining slightly. I've begun using that word a lot now, but I think it's pretty appropriate for certain heroes like Apparition and Viper. They render certain things. It's like they don't actually render you completely useless. It's just that sometimes they'll just go against you. And Viper, the definition comes from the corrosive skin as well as the poison attack passive, or his orb attack rather, that would allow him to shut down engagements, especially on particular heroes like Lifestealer and Doom, who are melee and want to engage that way. Apparition, similar fashion, he keeps his distance away from you, and he just throws a global nuke on you from nowhere on the map that all of a sudden you lose 500 life points, and you're kind of just going, what do I do against that? Do I stay off the map? Is this Wisp 2.0? Like, what do I do? And I think it's just a brilliant ban because the hero just works so well in conjunction with the lineup that Navi has right now. Once again, the jump, as well as the global presence and the initiation is the name of the game. And it was just a really, really smart thing for Cloud9 to do to not get cocky, allow the Lifestealer pick to be denied by picking it up themselves.
I'm interested to see that Timbersaw ban from Puppy as the last one. Because right now, you look at Cloud9, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to throw this Doombringer in the jungle? Is it going to be Sing Sings in the mid? I mean, know Eternal Envy plays a low mana pool Doombringer as well. It's like Bone 7 also plays a Lifestealer. And, okay, Puppy has just had enough of this. So, you want to control her up against melee heroes, you grab yourself an Enigma. They banned out both the Enigma, Enchantress, and Chandra in the last game. This time, they substituted the Enigma ban out for the AA or the Viper. So, this time, Na'Vi will play jungle, which means this is going to be a very, 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 very passive game here. Because you're gonna have Na'Vi inside the jungle going, Enigma, yeah, I'm cool, man. I'll be hitting like level 11 by the time you're ready to attack. And you go Storm Spirit, who just has to stay alive, maybe get a pick off in the middle lane if the opportunity presents itself. And then you got Prophet, who can also help to gank up the top lane when Na'Vi's ready to fight. But we'll also be blocking up camps in the bottom lane, soaking up as much experience as possible. Right now, I think the only thing we're really missing is going to be Kuro's Rubik and then a Faceless Void from a Vorst. And lineup almost done. But I'm not going to say Void, though, because Void doesn't synergize well enough with Enigma. This is almost an anti-mage game.
Yeah, it really does reek a lot of anti-mage as a whole. But, you know, I like the calls that you made. I mean, those are somewhat, I would say, bold assumptions at this point, but very, very strong basis behind it. And honestly,
I live life on the edge,
picks...
man. I'll
Toby,
make those.
You're a risk taker.
I'll make those assumptions. What's the worst that could happen? I'm wrong.
Oh man, boy, oh boy, when you're wrong, things don't go that.
There's nothing to lose as a caster, man. There's nothing to lose as a caster.
No, man, absolutely nothing. Don't worry about it. Just go on with the flow. But really, though, the Rubik on the Kuro, couldn't have called it better myself. And of course, yeah, as you said, Void in particular might not synergize so well because the Chronosphere might counteract with Black Hole and all the other small things here and there. But yeah, Anti-Mage as a whole, I think it's going to be fantastic. Now, I don't think Cloud9 is actually going to do this, but before these games, they were talking about the possibility of putting the Bristleback on the safe lane, allowing him to get the early edge that Bristleback so desperately needs, and then transition into the off lane. So what would happen is like a normal offlane Bristleback, except it would appear at 7-8 minutes, and then he would have a Vanguard already, so he becomes unkillable. Strategically and on paper, it sounds fantastic, but they would have a serious lack of disables right now in this game in particular, as well as some gap closing issues. Because once again, you have the Enigma, you have the Nature's Prophet who can just kind of stay away, and you have the Storm Spirit who can jump out as well, and now the Bane, another strong counter engage or disengager if you would, pardon me. And this time, you know, they have 2 stuns that can go through Rage. So that's probably a boon to their assets.
10 seconds remaining.
I've now gotten defensive in my predictions. I just want
Five
just
seconds
Oh,
remaining.
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That's a Kuro hero, isn't it?
yeah, Sakura
Please
Bane.
turn to ban.
But we get a Bone 7 Batrider. Now this starts to fill in our spaces a lot better. So Cloud9 have basically revealed out everything they're going to do apart from a jungle hero, which you can actually do with SK these days.
10 seconds.
It's
They
not
can do a
a,
lot of things. Yeah, with that draft.
it's not massively efficient because you're
5
still using
seconds
some of the
remaining.
time when the because I tried this out myself during a pub game. Actually, during a ranked game, because I'm just like, I need to know if this is viable. As speaking as a man who spent a lot of time farming up in the jungle, I need to know if this was viable or not. And really, to a point, it is, but it's nowhere near as efficient as so many other heroes.
Yeah.
But
Sounds like,
SK needs the levels though, and that's where he can catch up. It's like watching Crystal Maiden in the jungle. Like it's okay, like it's decently efficient, but at the same time, like SK, he's got to wait for like 3-4 minutes before you'll actually hit your higher levels up, because you're going to give you 2 points up in Sandstorm to jungle properly. So that means you've then technically got to hit level 4 before you're ready to gank, as opposed to the level 3, which is when you're ready to gank if you don't have a setup kind of slow or stun or something like that. So yeah, it's I'm interested to see how C9 take out the SK, as in where they go with him. But with the Doombringer, the Lifesteal, the Batrider, they could even jungle up either the Lifesteal or the Doombringer. So their options are quite free. But if you're going to be a gambling man, you'd say Bone 7 off lane, you'd say an Envy on the Lifesteal, a safe lane, and then Doombringer in towards the mid to be played by Sing Sing. With one more support now to come up here for Aoi 2000.
And of course, while you were describing some of your wacky antics or pub adventures, I have to say you mentioned a brilliant point on the Crystal Maiden. That hero would actually supplement the entirety of Cloud9's draft right now so well that I would actually be so surprised if they didn't pick it up here. It's literally the perfect pick they could ask for. I mean, of course, it is a squishy target that's going to have some hard times. And you know what? I was completely wrong. They're going to go for the long range stun instead, Jakiro. A little bit less reliable, but I know for a fact that Aoi 2000 has been on the hype train of that hero for quite some time now, ever since the changes. And it's definitely deserved. The hero actually has ridiculous amounts of damage, to the point where I say, is that really a support hero?
I would still say it's a support hero, but I class Jakiro in the same pool as the Venomancer now, where he is one of the best filters. I don't think filters is really a technical term we use in Dota,
Right.
but a buffer. Like he is able to come in with like the 2 points up in the Liquid Fire, and then the 1 point up in just the Dual Breath. You don't even have to get Ice Path early on, and you probably won't have to look for Ice Path until you got Bane and Enigma doing their thing, because you got both two big channeling abilities. If Ice Path can reach them and you're fine because you're far enough away from the black hole, you're far enough away from the Fiend's grip, you can stop them from casting one of their big controlling abilities. But in the meantime, you zone out these people who try and go the off lane. And a hero like a Nature's Prophet, Liquid Fire is the worst thing that could happen to him. Because he just gets slowed up so badly that then Envy is just like, well, I can pick up early phase boots, run in there, open wounds up, and then you're basically guaranteed a kill under the tower. With both Rage and open wounds, you can guarantee you're going to have enough line points to get the kill and get back out again safely. So this offlane for Funnick is going to be rough. Rough is actually probably really a huge understatement. It's going to be next to impossible. Almost would want to go to his own jungle if he didn't already have an Enigma.
Yeah, I guess that's another concern that he has to have on his mind. But just as you called it, man, the Liquid Fire, it's just, if it's coming down to intel heroes that like to engage and kind of do damage by right clicks as well, such as Nature's Prophet and Storm Spirit, I was really thinking along the lines of Storm Spirit more, because that Jakiro, if you preemptively cast Ice Path, or if you just stay back behind and just anticipate a Storm initiation, you can position yourself so well to the point where the Storm Spirit jumping in with his ultimate basically becomes like a magnet
You'll have
skewer.
to be quick, man, because right now we've lost. He just spotted him. There is the entire Na'Vi lineup, but they're caught inside the river. They've got to get back up towards the high ground before they get spotted. And in fact, they have been spotted. There's trees over here on the side as well from Nature's Prophet that have to go high ground. It's about to die out. A quick sentry ward planted, so they see Aoi running away. No one will get there in time, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to start to ping out the fact there's warding, quite significant warding as well over these two camps. And Puppy, well, life just got harder. This will be safe played by C9, so he doesn't even have the option of going into the enemy jungle.
Right.
He's got 3 camps he can work with right now, and 3 camps where only 2 of them even have a slight nice transition, and even then you have to loop yourself around to do that, as opposed to like this side where it's just like a quick little jump down.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I think C9 is presenting to us a strategy that's been on the minds of many players, but basically shutting down Puppey and kind of just forcing your bans as well as catering all your picks and movements. What's going on here? Pilot
Sorry,
Ice
that
Storm.
was, yeah, haste room for Kuro and Pilot Eye sitting at Half-Life. He went Sandstorm level 1 so he can hide from the Bane. But he's like, he knows there's still another, like, if it's going to wear off, Kuro's going to stick around long enough. He finds Pilot Die with a Brain Sap. I think he might just have enough damage. He needs another hit, though.
So. Yeah, he doesn't want to walk in tower range. He actually could have. The thing is, he knows that Sand King doesn't have a stun, so maybe 2 more right clicks, the commitment as well as the brain sap might have sealed the deal. But honestly, was it worth the risk, and was it worth possibly giving Bone 7 the extra levels and EXP afterwards? I think not. So I think Kuro did a good job just zoning out the Sand King completely, rendering him useless for the next minute or so.
And this is going to make Batright a little bit more cautious, but watch this middle lane too. The first creep that Sing Sing gets is Frost Armor.
Oh man,
he's got +8 armor on a Doombringer.
Yeah, you couldn't have asked for anything better. Actually, honestly, against Dragon Knight, he might have actually wanted the Satyr for regen. But honestly, Frost Armor is really amazing. Like, it shuts down so much forms of aggression early on. Dendi literally can't trade right clicks with him.
Yeah. Puppey still managed to find his farm here inside the jungle, even though he's basically 2 camps down. He's managed to find a lot, but this also means now the Puppey is very, very close in on this top lane. You also notice too, Kuro, he only now just levels up something. So he levels up the Nightmare over on the Bat Rider. Storm Spirit doesn't have a pull through, but he's got a static Remnant, but Bone 7 instantly just uses Ice Frog's breakage to jump outside of the map and around the corner and away to safety. So they do keep Bat Rider semi off this top lane, but still Bone 7's almost hit level 3 being up here, and he's gone 6 for 0.
As a matter of fact, I think he wants to get this pushing creep wave, and he's going to be very greedy around this. He might get punished for it depending on how far he goes, because Kuro is on the lookout, but he is showing himself on the side of both sides. And yeah, as Kuro is walking in, Bone 7 walks out, so he just wants the EXP.
He's coming top. He's going to create an army of trees and use this DD rune to go for Bone 7. He needs 2 hits. There's 1, and there is 2. First blood spilt in the top lane. You must keep your eyes peeled for those runes. Jakiro put the liquid fire on Funnick too, so he knew he was moving down for rune. He just didn't know what it was, because there's no observer ward for C9 over that bottom rune.
Yeah, that's just pretty much the most standard definition of getting punished for your overstay. I think Bone 7 was completely aware that sitting at 200 life points, he was living life on the edge the whole time. And of course, we can never factor out the Prophet existence, and Funnick, being the player that he is, always knows how to maneuver around things, sticky situations, and in that case, TP behind a tier 1 tower at almost 3 minutes into the game was able to actually secure a kill because his treants are doing the aggroing of the tower. So completely neglecting that aspect and completely bypassing a lot of things that otherwise wouldn't have been possible. So very well done.
They're going
nice
again.
First blood and possibly a second kill.
Yep, they're going to go static Remnant to start with, and now the Vortex will pull Bone 7 back in again. This will now be 2 deaths for him on the top lane, and Funnick will take both of the kills too. So Funnick, if he was looking for an injection of money to get that hand minus up and running quick, he's got it.
Yeah. Came for it, got what he's looking for, and looks like he's going to go about in his journey back again. Now, once again, the Enigma is inside the jungle, and I don't think he wants to interrupt that too much. Looking at his items now, he's actually built up the phase boots. I wouldn't be too surprised if he rotates back to bottom lane, and yeah, there it is. The only problem is, though, that if the Lifestealer has this knowledge that Rift is down and he doesn't have mana for the teleport scroll, Eternal Envy can literally walk up to Funnick right now and right-click him down.
Oh, at the same time, though, Funnick, the way he plays this, and he's done this time and time again with his Nature's Prophets. I always praise both Funnick and Quote for their style, the way they play this offlane. Owie, oh, hello, Haste Rune. This could be really bad for Funnick. Yeah, you're right. He's got no mana run away, and this is a very different scenario. He can't outrun him. He needs the mid-hero to rotate in to give him a bit of support. And now Dendi is on the way. Funnick is just going to attack once, and that buys him some space. But Dendi now has to back off from that mid lane. He doesn't lose much. But yeah, you're right. That's the point where movement speed's a killer.
Yeah, basically. Jakiro just seems to have an edge, and of course, Haste Rune normally pretty good at giving you that extra movement speed on that department.
You see Jakiro, like how he's going for the build I was talking about before. The 2-point liquid fire, the 1-point dual breath. I'm interested to see just how long he takes before he picks up Ice Path.
I think, well, as you had mentioned, it's something that's going to be of major significance later on. Not necessarily at this point in the game because there's not so much aggression that they're dealing with, as well as like massive attempts of map rotations coming out from both sides. So I think it's fairly safe to say that he's going for the most efficient build right now.
Yep. How's Envy looking here on the bottom lane? The guy who we thought would do a hand of Midas has Phase Boots, all but Venom. So we should be looking at more of a drum build coming out from Envy. So again, a little bit more early game focus coming out from Envy. But I'm also watching Na'Vi move around. And we got Kuro here in the middle lane with Puppey. Now, there's no vision on the high ground here for C9. But Puppey with Soul Ring up. They don't care about vision. They're coming in with a Dendi ultimate. They want to force out this mid-tier 1 tower. And Pylai die quickly inside the Sandstorm. That's a level 2 Sandstorm. And they have no detection whatsoever. And what's even more hilarious is they have no stuns that would get Pylai die out of that. In fact, there's not a single hero in all of Na'Vi that have that.
Yep, except of course the black hole, but you don't want to really invest that in this situation.
No.
Not so close to the tower. And he's actually doing a pretty good job of zoning out Navi's heroes.
Oh, Ice Path. It's on Kuro. Puppey is still in close though, but he doesn't have his level 6, so there is no hold for this fight. And he's back inside the Sandstorm again, funning into the tree line, but he'll die to the Lifestealer, who did TP in for this one. Danny is now finally running himself away, and he's going to pick up an Invis rune as well from the top. But Cloud9, like, okay, Prophet went down. That was a 2-kill streak he just took. Fair enough. But at the same time, Dandy, oh, Courier Snipe. Courier Snipe. He needs 3 hits. That's 2. He needs actually 4. Lol. But yeah, what's the trade-off you're really looking at here? Mid tower goes down. It was destroyed by Prophet. They get the kill on Prophet, but Avos is getting free time to farm his Orchid up on the top lane. You wonder, is it worth the trade with all the TPs in too?
Yeah, quite honestly, I gotta say, things went a lot better than expected for Na'Vi. I thought they were gonna lose more heroes. As soon as that huge ice path, and it wasn't so huge in terms of like getting like 10 heroes, it was more of this fact that it was so unexpected and sudden that it caught Na'Vi off guard. It actually gave Pilot Die enough of an opportunity to possibly land a 2-man or a triple stun, but Pi actually went for the Furion, got greedy with the Bane one, and unfortunately he wasn't able to stop the Bane. He stunned up the Prophet, and of course the Prophet died, as you said. They took the 2-kill streak, but it could have been a huge loss for Na'Vi depending on that Sand King stun follow-up. So I think Pi slightly missed an opportunity there for a huge play, but they didn't really lose anything in terms of the trade, so it's pretty okay.
Paladai back to farming up in the jungle.
And he's actually prioritized the Sandstorm over the Impale. This is something I haven't seen before. 3
points up in the Sandstorm. It's old. It's very, very old.
Yeah, and
top lane,
just judging by your story though.
Doom on a Voss. Bone 7's also going to stick with him here with the Satyr Blast. They know there's enough damage to kill him off. There's no TP support, and Navos just buys up the Orchid recipe, as well as the Sage's Mask before death. The 2 heroes rotate out for that one, but again on bottom lane, Na'Vi is now adding map control. The pressure down there, like Avos is the first death he's had, but he's also sitting at 50 for 10. He's had solo experience, and they're going to get the gold from the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane. Again, it's trades. All we're looking here is trades.
Honestly, I think your calls are just completely on point when it comes to these trades, if you would. The thing is like, when you commit those kind of core heroes on the map, it's not only you showing yourselves and getting the kill, but yeah, it's giving intel to the enemy team saying, okay, you're on the other side of the map, you probably forced a TP or 2 for this, we're actually going to go for the next tower. And the thing with towers right now is that not only does it give a huge surge of gold for everybody, especially the person who takes the tower kill, but also the map control you get out of it is insane. You have to have you live with absolutely no fear if you're farming your own jungle most of the time. And they're coming, yeah, they are. They're flanking.
Have some fear. Kuro's trying to kill off Aoi right now, but Na'Vi, they're possibly doing the worst thing they could do. They've put themselves on the low ground. They're going to commit to kill off this Jakiro, and they've got him at least, but in comes the infested Doombringer. Sing Sing, he wants to jump out on Puppey, but Puppey, he's also got this black hole. Now he sees the 2 of them. He's going to keep the 2 carries out of position while Pylai Die will die at the back end. He didn't have Burrow Strike mana, so he couldn't get in close enough. And well, I think they've accepted the fact that Puppey is going to die there in the corner, but he did his job. They take the tower, they take 2 support hero kills, and now Storm Spirit jumps up towards the top lane, right on top of Bone 7. They grab another hero out of position. Thought he could farm up behind his tier 1 tower in that top lane. Thought a Vorst was gone. And the trades again. I think the balance is switching.
Action at top, action at bottom. Needless to say, I think the global presence lineup of Na'Vi is really kicking in, especially with the addition of the Dragon Knight, allowing them to take such early towers so forcibly. and once again, not get punished for it entirely, but offer trades, such as the Enigma sacrifice for the extra 2 kills they were able to secure on 2 of their supports now, Jakiro as well as Sand King in that situation.
So I'm really surprised they did that though. Like, you have
Yeah.
Doom as well as Lifestealer, and they both run in really, really close on an Enigma, who is the one hero that can control him and hold him out of the fight, which is exactly what he did.
Exactly.
He just
Yeah.
held him out.
I think it was a missed call on the part of C9 as well. As you said, it was literally the only hero that can actually keep them in place for that extended duration of time. And Pilot Eye, honestly, when he was coming in for that gank, he didn't even have mana. I clicked on his hero just as he was rotating into the jungle area. He only had 100. So for them to actually have attempted that after Ollie died, I mean, it was a fantastic positioning for them. But their choice of heroes, going for the one that's in that situation, the far back line, because the Puppy on the Enigma, while he was closest to their base, he was actually farthest away from the Doom as well as the Lifestealer. That was wishful thinking on their part.
Envy. He's cramping Puppy style, something chronic. Kuro's moving forward to try and get a kill here on Pilot Dai, who's able to burrow strike himself down the hill into the sandstorm, using that Envious beautifully. But Funnick is still going to stick around with him. He's going in behind the Ancient Lizards. There's no burrow strike yet. 1 second, but 1 second's too far.
Nicely done. It was a very good attempt by Pilot Eye, but he did get caught out. And of course, against the heroes like Storm Spirit, who can kind of just close the gap on you at any given time, you just can't be extended so far out. Of course, if he had the Blink Dagger, he would have been able to do so. But now he's just close to the Blink Dagger. He doesn't actually have it. In the meanwhile, the top tower did get secured for C9. So just as you would call it back in the day, man, tradey McTrade trade.
It is. It really is, dude. I also want to point out, too, something which I showed on screen but didn't mention. Was just a rune by Eternal Envy. He picked up the Illusion rune and sent his Illusion into the Rosh pit. Poppy was ready to solo Roshan before that fight happened in the mid. They smoked up 2 heroes and he went in there with Nami conversions. And he's just going to do the Soul Ring conversion micro and bring Roshan down bit by bit. Now Prophet's going to come in too. So Na'Vi come back to start what they wanted to start before, but the Illusion would have scouted out completely what they wanted to do. So they waited up, the Illusion stayed inside the pit, and Poppy walked out inside the smoke. But at the same time, you now have a Blink Dagger on the back of Bone 7, who's also got an infested Lifestealer inside. And who's he got? Well, this is worth it. Storm Spirit's going to go down, but the Aegis the Immortal is on the deck, and it's in the hands of Dendi. Poppy has been doomed up, but he won't die from that. So, at the end of the day, it's Jakiro solo pushing out a tier 2 tower up on the top lane.
Without mana.
Kuro, he can... Oh, there's a Fiend's Grip. They need a secondary TP, though. Brain Sap, Fiend's Grip, there's a Prophet coming in. And there's a DPS to get through Aui's life points. And they give the kill over towards the Bane as well for that one.
Yeah, that was I gotta be critical of Aui in that one. He was way overextended there, and you know, he had 66 mana as soon as the TP began. He should have known that he doesn't have enough mana for TP, nor did he have the time for a reaction because Bane was able to TP out so forward, especially with the recent changes on the teleport distance on powers. He let himself completely exposed in that situation, and he got caught off guard. And he really shouldn't have been so deep, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're right, dude. But at the same time, with the tower now going down the top lane, as well as a little bit of extra farm on the bottom, Pilot Eye goes straight into a Blink Dagger. Now, this is a raw Blink Dagger. There's no arcane boots, there's no drums, there's no nothing behind this. There's not even a second level up in his ultimate yet. So, I'm interested to see just how effective this SK is going to be during the fight. Because so far, Doom has been cast, and it's not really changed that much. Like, you get a kill on a Storm Spirit, but then DK comes through and kills you, and you cast off the Doom over on the Enigma, and he's just like, well, my Black Hole was on cooldown anyway. So, yeah, not much to really write home about this, but they're going to go for another jump in initiation. So it's Batrider, Blink Dagger, initiation, with what I assume is now going to be the main thing here for SK, and that's a Blink Dagger to follow up stun, because he put the 4 points now finally into the Burrow Strike.
Right. And I guess he was just getting the level 3 Sandstorm before level 5 in anticipation of the fact that he would have an easier time rather to be able to farm up. And this is actually a nice thing. I do want to just correct the slight call that I made. I think it was misrepresentative of the real situation. Is that Ollie 2000, yeah, at top lane he overcommitted. But that's partially because I feel like the tower kill wasn't exactly worth his death because he's giving a lot of intel. But at the same time, you could say it the other way and say that the tower kill was definitely worth it because now Pilot Eye can do stuff like this and get away with it. Against a hero like Storm Spirit who can shut down the Sand King, he can still push into the inner depths, assuming that there's not going to be any TPs in proximity because there is no tower to TP to. So this is just C9 playing their efficient Dota style and taking advantage of every little bit that they can. But the trade is that
mid lane fight now, man. Fortification on the mid lane's going to try and hold him out for now, and Sing Sing, he doesn't want to ulti up Dendi because there's not much point to it. And Kuro standing on the high ground, he's just enfeebling up on Sing Sing. There's a glitch. It's over on Kuro, and Envy has jumped out, but now the Fiend's grip. It's over on the Lion Stealer. Kuro's just standing his ground, but in comes your epicenter from Pylite Die. Of course, will be able to ulti himself away to safety while Dendi fighting up against Sing Sing, who's getting more items delivered as the fight goes on. Puppey, there's no Black Hole because again the Doom is cast on him. Ice Buff holding Dendi there. He's halfway through his dragon timing. Puppey, Black Hole now is available because the Doom is now worn off too, and he's trying to back themselves up. The Sprout blocking the path there of Cloud9, so they cannot continue their movement up. The Storm Spirit as well as the Bane going down here for Na'Vi, and the mid tower remains alive.
Yeah, but that was such a tactical fight. Did you see that escape? That was actually an epic moment, and I know it just seemed like a wacky series of events, but the way that Dendi was able to escape that little by little, and C9 just engaging and disengaging back and forth because their spells were not up, but also the awareness and the danger of that ever-present black hole coming into play. They were really scared of that for that period of time, and of course the Aegis is also important to note that Dendi, even if you take him down, he's going to come from number 2. That was just a lot of tactical decision making in the middle of a very panicky situation. I gotta give props to both teams there. They both played that pretty incredibly.
And I'm looking forward to seeing just how well C9 can play the next fight now that Puppey has also purchased up a gem. So with that gem, there's no more hiding inside the invis for SK. But at the same time, he sacrifices himself by picking up that gem. I thought Enigma would be looking in for that blink. They blinked a black hole before the Doom is able to be cast. As first one I missed. Orchid kill on from Storm Spirit in the bottom lane.
Yeah, solo kill on Jakiro, as you can imagine. Just zipped in, dropped the Orchid, pulled him in, and it was more than sufficient damage. Now, mid lane tower is going to go down with the loss of the Jakiro, one of their main long-range initiations. But speaking of long-range initiations, I do have to also say that Pylite has finally opted for the Arcane Boots. I know that there was one game he omitted it completely because with the blink changes, I guess you can kind of get away with it. But in these last couple of fights, Toby, if you've noticed, what ended up happening was Pylite was able to either drop a stun or drop an ultimate, and he couldn't do both just because his mana pool was never enough. What he's actually been doing is, yeah, in terms of efficiency, it's great. But when it comes to team fights, he just didn't have mana because he was just constantly spamming up Sandstorm every opportunity he was given. And he didn't have the sustain. He did not have the regeneration that's enough and necessary for him to have this upkeep to maintain presence in fights. So I think that was actually a huge loss because that previous fight too, all he did was epicenter and not stun. And that really hurt him a lot.
Remind me to come back to this moment, man, because I also have something to add to the SK thing. But right now, we're going to watch C9. They smoked up inside their base, and Doombringer just walks straight in. Blink Burrow Strike. It's over on Dendi. The Doom is again cast over on the Enigma, but they also commit the lasso to ensure the Puppey will go down during this fight, which he will do so. Providan's got a revenge kill over on the SK, however, but that's the price of initiating in so early on, while Sing Sing, he's now retreating up. The Scorcher that's worn off. Aoi's a little bit too deep up, and now you see that tank ability of Na'Vi really sticking in. Profit, TP's in, Sprouts up on Sing Sing. He cut the tree a little bit higher up though, so there was a way out of that one, but Nightmare into a Dragon Tail stun, into a Vorst jump in. Sing Sing will die up here on the top lane, and it becomes a 3-for-1 trade now with both the top towers also going down for C9. And there shouldn't be any more because the Dragon form is worn off, but Na'Vi coming out on top after that fight.
The just being able to completely heal Dendi and render all the damage that he took in that team fight useless. Of course, with the Dragon's Blood, he's obviously very, very resistant to damage as a whole this game so far. But I gotta give credit to Kuro. He is playing absolutely phenomenally. If you see his positioning inside the team fight, first of all, he's always out of reach when it comes to initiations and jumps. Even Sing Sing, even Puppey, he was able to get doomed up. He was in range of the reach for the Bad Rider to blink in and lasso him up. And even Eternal Envy with the Lifestealer Bomb, they try to seal the deal, but Funnick and Kuroki, the real heroes of that fight, Funnick sprouted up his doomed target. What that forced Envy to do is, and partially to Envy's mistake, he kind of just lingered around for like a second or two on his rage timer, and that's really the only time Lifestealer can really be active in this patch right now is during his rage. He just walked around back and forth, and didn't get anything done. And in the meanwhile, Kuroki was able to Fiend's grip up the Bat Rider, who was trying to pull, and he lassoed up the Enigma and tried to pull him back in the proximity of his own team, but completely shut that down. And speaking of shutdowns, look at his skill build, Toby. He's got 3 points in Enfeeble. Every single time I've been wondering why C9 seems to be so lacking damage. If it's not the extra stun coming out of Pylite, it's the Enfeeble. And speaking of Enfeeble, which, yeah, Evos just gets out of that. He got scathed, but he got out of it scot-free at the end of the day.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't watching that one either.
Yeah.
Fair.
But really though, if you notice it, Sing Sing has no damage. He just doesn't do anything. He walks in with Scorched Earth. It's like a semi-radiance or a 4-band radiance if
Bottom
you would,
lane.
and no damage.
You can watch this one. Aoi 2000 does the wise thing and TP's out, but then didn't need a Dragon Form, so we had the range stun. The Necro units were inside the Sprout too. So they just beat down top of the Chikiro. And he is now on the sidelines. Because it looks like we will probably, if Na'Vi keep going on this line, we'll go into a third game. Your next code coming out for your 10 race for Dota 2 Lounge, by the way. I'm going to put it over on my Twitter, TobiWan Dota. I'll tweet it out in the middle, in between the matches, so just go over there. Paradise, nice stun in. Bone 7, they dragged Denny back. There's a buyback coming out from Limesteel, so they're ready to go. Paradise, though, being massively stunned up. The earn attack, not enough to kill him off. It's going to be Denny to do it. Fiend's Grip, now your Black Hole. Dragging Envy, dragging Sing Sing in. Puppy using that Blink Dagger. And now he's going to back up a little bit more. Sing Sing, he's nightmared up. Now they can really go to reinitiate. The Sprouts there. Yeah, they're coming back in again. There's a Dragon Tail stun. The Macropie is going to be splitting up the Na'Vi lineup, and with the Ice Path and the Dual Breath, Dandy really low on life. Has to Shadow Blade himself a little bit further away. And now we'll get the Urn Charge to come back alive again. But Enigma ended up going down too, but that's a 3-for-1 trade-off here on the bottom lane.
Ooh, and watching Bone 7 in that sequence of events actually kind of hurt. He first of all he was too far, but he wasn't able to shut down the Fiend's Grip on Envy, which pretty much went on almost full duration on the buyback Lifestealer. Like, this is a buyback Lifestealer and pretty much one of the biggest fights in this, or most important fight so far actually, inside their own base, and they were unable to stop the Fiend's Grip with the ample number of disables and lockdowns that they have on the side of C9. So that was really painful to watch. And the second thing is he blinked in back into the fray after the fight was kind of over and just reaching his falling action. And then he missed his combo with the Flame Break on Dandy, who was going to die for sure. That Dragon Knight kill was absolutely huge, because right now otherwise he's sitting at 2-0 and 7 and about to have a second Aegis to his name.
And with that second Aegis too, guys, it was nice he scouted out. Originally they tried to use the courier for it, and then like Courier just had another bit of a lookie. So with Hyperstone, Assault Cuirass on the way, coming for Dandy, not there yet, but 4-staff over on the Pain, add more positioning to this fight for Na'Vi. And they have themselves a 15,000 gold advantage, a 10,000 experience advantage. And if C9 don't get the perfect combination, like this is going to be like a 5-man Ice Path Macropie caught in the Veil of Discord with the Epicenter stun holding him in position, and then Eternal Envy, Infest damage on them all at the same time, and they're all caught in like 10 layers of Napalm with Firefly around them. This fight almost looks unwinnable for C9, especially when this happens to Sing Sing. He hasn't got his BKB up and running yet. There's more support in the way, but now Dendy, well, the Burrow Strike, it's going to miss into the Sandstorm. Then he will pop the BKB, and this looks like it could be all over. Avoso getting really ripped apart in here. He's going to die. In comes the Epicenter, but there's just not enough line points left. Another Burrow Strike in from Pilot Eye, keeping Kuro off the front lines, but Dendy comes back up again. There's a double kill for him. There's no Dragon Tail to stop Ally from TPing away to safety. Then a little bit further over east, we've got SK dying, and there's too many euros for C9 on the sidelines. We might be seeing a early, yep, there it is. It's 3 minutes later than Na'Vi's GG call in game number 1. The Na'Vi will hit back from their first start up in that top lane with the Prophet TPing in with a DD rune. So that transitions him through 2 Roshans. A great fight up in the top lane for him. And Na'Vi will take game number 2 and force this to a third game.
Oh yeah, force it to a third game they will, and in dominant fashion, because just as you said, similar to the first game and the sub 20-minute GG, now we're seeing 3 minutes later, just as you called once again, just a really convincing performance coming out of Na'Vi. It just seemed like every single thing they did, contrary to the first game, was intact. It was on point. They looked for objectives, and every single thing that they went for was secured. And honestly, things like what happened at the bottom lane, things that really shouldn't have been happening at all, partially due to the shot calling of C9, I really feel like that came to bring about their ruin. And honestly, the Doombringer just not being able to have impact at the mid lane due to that, and we can see the difference in the mid lanes in general. And I don't mean to put any blame on any individual players. This game as a whole, this series so far has been nothing but a team effort. But Sing Sing right now is sitting at 1-3 and 4. He's very sad Doombringer because he doesn't have his BKB at 23 minutes into the game. Whereas on the other side, you look at Dandy's net worth. He is full of items. He is just rich, money, just everything going for him. And yeah, needless to say, Navi was able to take out a convincing victory.
Yeah, there they have, man. So C9 convincing game number 1, Na'Vi convincing game number 2, game number 3. Who knows what's in store? Stick around, though, and you will find out, as we'll have our final deciding matchup. Will Na'Vi remain undefeated, or will C9 level up their score, or at least get their first win here in the D2CL? Stay tuned, and we'll find out together.